Hi, it's Ken from AutoQuote3D. Today I'm going to talk about how to price to perfection. And this is really the power of AutoQuote3D so that you can set your materials and printers to price perfectly to what you want to charge your customer, and they'll be able to access that on their own. So let's get to it. First, log into your account and you'll see the dashboard here. Then you're going to go into configuration. Now, in another video before, I talked about the basics of setting up your print shop, so make sure you watch that video if you want to get set up quickly. But here today, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of how to price. So we're going to go to the Materials tab, and we're going to add a new material. Now, I'm going to assume that you've already set up your printer with the printing dimensions and the limitations of your particular printers. And when we go into this technology, we're going to add, let's say we're going to build a new SLA material, and we're going to say Biomed Clear. So this is a specialized material. And you can see that it's made that material down here. So we're going to add some options to this material. First of all, we're going to set some limitations. We're going to set a printer size override. For Biomed Clear, you might want to set a smaller print size because this is a very specialized material. So let's set an override here so customers can't go beyond this price size range. And you'll see that there's a printer size override over here. Now we're going to add colors. Now for clear, we only have clear. So let's just select a transparent type material, put clear and submit. So now you have that one choice. If you have another color, you can add another color, of course, but this is Biomed Clear, so we only have one color. Layer heights, let's offer 2. Now this is going to be the deep dive into how we price here. So let's set up as fine first. And fine is going to be 50 microns for us in terms of layer height. And curve threshold, these 3 values here are really going to set up how you are going to price your print. So let's say we want to incentivize people to choose a larger print. At this point, what we would do is we would start increasing our curve threshold. Sorry, we would increase it, we would go less than 1, 0.5. And you can see the curve has changed. It's curved downwards, which means that it's actually getting cheaper as the print is getting larger. Next up, we're going to set the price per gram. So you can simply take how many grams your material comes with and what price you purchased it at and put that in there. So let's say we're going to set 1 per gram. Okay, and a startup cost, because this material is more expensive and more specialized, I'd like to have a more expensive starting cost. So it's $50. So now you can see your curve change in real time. Because we have a startup cost of $50, you can see that even at 0 grams, it's going to charge them $50 because just to get started with nothing to print, it's going to cost $50. At the next tier, at 100 grams, you can see that it's going to multiply by the price per gram and the curve threshold. So at 400 grams, you can see that it's going to be $70, and at 1,000 grams, it's going to be $81.62. So it got cheaper as the print got larger. Now that's pretty significant. Now let's say we want to do things another way. We want to incentivize smaller prints, and larger prints are going to cost more as it scales up. So in this case, we would go to 1.5 or 1.2. And you'll see that it now curves up. At 100 grams, it's going to be $300, and at 400 grams, it's going to be $1,300. So it's exponentially scaling up the cost of this print. Of course, you can do anything in between. If you want a linear cost, basically it costs more as it goes up, just leave it at 1. For the time being, I want to incentivize smaller prints, so I'm going to set it at 1.3 and go from there. And I want to set 0.5. So you can check your own calculations. If you say, hey, 100 gram print at this pricing is going to be $250 at 200 grams, almost double. This is pretty much exactly what I want. Let's submit that. Now let's say I want to change it up and I want to have something a little bit cheaper and a little bit faster. So we'll say rough instead of fine. We'll set 300 microns. And we want to, at this point, we want to incentivize larger prints. So let's go to 0.7. We'll leave price per gram because that doesn't change. And startup cost, we're gonna have a smaller startup cost, $25, because we know we're gonna get a bigger print here. So now your customers have 2 layer heights to choose from, and they can see the different costs for each. And infill, we're gonna put standard. This is SLA, so it's gonna be 100%. And there you have it. We have a new material set up, priced to perfection, just the way you like it, whether it's at 50 microns or 300 microns. It's really up to your customer's choice, but you know that either way that they pick, it's gonna be the price that you've pretty much set out. At this point, you can live that, and you can actually set that as your default material if you want. If you want to default to that because that is your most popular printer and you have a lot of capacity, then select default, SLA, Biomed clear, and let's say 300 because you want bigger prints, 100% infill, and clear, and submit. And now you can see this has been highlighted. This is now your default material. The moment someone drops a STL file into your widget, it's gonna quote them based on this material first. Finally, I'm gonna talk a little bit about support material. It's very similar to how we set up our FDM materials, and this is only for FDM support. So if you're printing PLA and you want PVA support, you can set that up here. All you have to do is select your material, PLA, PVA support. Now let's say you do not have any specialized support material because you don't have dual extrusion and you want to print everything with the same support material, breakaway, so then you just select base. If you don't add any support materials, it will default to base. But let's add a support material so you can see. As you can see, it's very, very close to how we set up our materials before. So let's say special support 1. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's do breakaway material, since we don't have that here yet. Density, it's gonna give you some rough estimates on what it should be. So let's just say 1 here, because it's a little bit less dense. Curve threshold, we want to print more material. So let's put 0.7. It's gonna get cheaper as you use more support material. Price per gram is 0.5. And startup cost is 0.3. In fact, we don't really want a startup cost. We want to incentivize it, so let's just go to 0 startup cost. And submit. And now you have a new breakaway support material available with a density at 1 gram per centimeters cubed. And you can see rough estimates of how much it will cost for this material. And I'm gonna pair this up with my PLA. I want my PLA to have breakaway material. And so when a customer submits a file that needs supports, it will automatically calculate that support material with this costing here. And this is how we price to perfection with your primary material and your support material. Now that we've set up our materials and our support materials, it's time to set our urgency. So go to the urgency tab, and here you'll see that I have a few things set up, but we're gonna set up our own. So let's add a new urgency. Super urgent sounds good. And at this point, we can add 0 to 1 day. We're gonna print this right away. We can either add a flat rate amount of premium to add to our cost, or we can do a percentage. Let's do a percentage. And let's say I wanna do a 60% increase. So we're gonna do 1.6 based on this amount here. It's a fractional amount. And we're gonna hit submit. It's a little bit too long, so we'll just say super fast. There we go. Now we have our super fast speed. It's gonna be ready in 0 to 1 days. It's a dynamic pricing, so it's based on what the print cost already, and there's a 60% premium. Now, as you can see up here, we actually have a slow speed. So this is to incentivize someone getting a little bit of discount, a 10% discount, if they let us print at a slower pace or if they let us prioritize it a little bit lower. So let's see how we set this one up. We're gonna go to edit. You can see I set slow speed up here. Let's say within 20 days as a description. And now I set a 0.9 because this means that there's a 10% discount on any pricing that they do if they let us print at super slow speed. So with urgency, support material, and materials together, you can really fine-tune to perfection exactly what your customers should be paying for the prints that you're offering. If you have any other questions on pricing, contact us directly at AutoQuote3D.com.